I'll throw the intro music on. That's how you know, okay?
Yeah, gotcha.
Welcome to the Bleed Big Blue podcast, dedicated coverage of the New York Football Giants by your hosts, Marco, Trifecta, T. Merritt, and JVW.
Hey, Bleed Big Blue. It's Tim coming on the podcast along with Justin.
What's up?
We're waiting for James. He's missing in action because he was actually the one that's supposed to be starting this. So as far as taking calls, it might be a few minutes before we can because me and Justin are tech savvy, and we don't do that.
No, we're just the talent.
That's right.
They just pay us for our opinions.
You're getting paid?
Yeah. I wasn't supposed to tell you. Sorry, Marco.
Wow. Now we see what's going on. Well, the big news dropped yesterday, which is huge news for us. The Jets traded up to get the number 3 spot, and they got 3 second-round picks. Or they gave up 3 second-round picks to do it. To move up 3
second-round picks.
Which is huge. With that being said, the Bills, I know, are sweating because it almost looks like if we don't draft a quarterback, there's no way that we can trade out. That being said, it almost sounds like that we are going to draft a quarterback, so it's almost like quarterbacks might be going 1, 2, 3, 4. So either we have a great pick if we're trading out, or Cleveland's number 4 pick is going to be worth a lot. That being said, Justin, how excited are you about the prospects that are going to happen right now?
So I was thinking about it last night, and right now, because the Jets moved up to 3, it basically guarantees that a quarterback is going 1, whether that's Cleveland or for some reason if Cleveland decided to trade out of the pick, because Cleveland's not gonna wait to take a quarterback with us and the Jets both behind them. The Jets having just traded up to 3, so Cleveland takes a quarterback 1. We either take a quarterback ourselves, trade out, or we take Barkley. So 3 possible solutions. I think the worst
one would be taking Barkley. Let's be honest.
The worst one would be taking Barkley, and then, but I mean, ask yourself, if we do take Barkley, I mean, if that's the worst decision that you can make, you're in a pretty good spot.
Situation. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I mean, it's Barkley's one of those guys where it's like, am I going to be pissed if Giants draft him? No. Because he's going to be, Barkley with Odell, that's pretty disgusting. Not to mention the rest of the people we have on the team.
Right.
But with that being said, just the haul that they got to move up 3 spots. And supposedly, they said if Jets offered that to them, to Indy, they probably offered us the same deal. Which, if that's the case and we did turn it down, then it does look like we're taking a quarterback. Which is essentially is what we want, let's be honest.
So, if they offered that to Gettleman, that means either we have conviction on one of the quarterbacks at 2, that we have reasonable belief to think that we'll be able to get, or that Gettleman, is a day late and a dollar short. So it all depends on, what it really comes down to is how they feel about Davis Webb, how they evaluated the quarterbacks in this draft, and what their true goal is this year. Gettleman came in and said, I'm ready to win, but does he believe he can win with this roster?
Well, this is my thing, and I totally agree. I think, let's put it this way, starter-wise, and if everybody stayed healthy, which we know is not going to happen, I think we're good. I think we're all right. I mean, could we definitely improve in some positions? Absolutely, which will happen in the draft regardless. But, we're pretty good right now if, all starters stay in place. That being said, we know injuries are going to happen, and that's why the trade down needs to happen if we're happy with Davis Webb. We're happy with Davis Webb. Just for example, Buffalo, whose GM worked under Gettleman, which the relationship's already there, and if we had to drop down 10 spots, which, we aren't going to get a blue-chip talent more than likely, but who knows. But we're still we would have to get Buffalo's 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, probably 2 third-round picks, and probably a future first, if not 1, if maybe 2, future picks. That would set us up for the future. Like what we talked about in the other other shows was, retool and rebuild. Let's win and rebuild at the same time. Why not?
There's no reason why we can't do both.
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
It goes back to something that I said on Wednesday. This team, the first 4 games of the season, they were 0-4, obviously. They lost the first 2 games pretty convincingly. And then the next 2 games, they lost to a 63-yard field goal. And we played Tampa pretty tight. We were in.
Yeah.
We had the lead in the third quarter in Tampa Bay, and we gave it away. So.
And people got to put one of those games, the 63-yard field goal was against Philly, and who just won the Super Bowl, and that was with Carson Wentz.
Right. Great point. So.
And we literally should have won that game. We should have won that game. They're
those
still
things
pissing me
go
off
a little
that
bit.
game.
Those 2 games go a little bit differently, and we're 2-2 going into San Diego. and maybe we're not quite so desperate to win that game at all costs, which led to players getting hurt. So,
but the nice thing is, look at the silver lining. He got rid of McAdoo and Reese. That's one thing with this season. We're in a prime position to pretty much set up our team for the future, whether it's with a future quarterback or with a future foundation of picks that will allow us to get better. And we got rid of the coach and the shitty GM, who obviously none of our draft picks stick. I was just looking at a thing this morning. I think since 2013, there's like 3 draft picks that are still on the team. That's just sad.
The last player to get the last first round pick to get a meaningful second contract extension was Jeremy Shockey.
JPP actually, but
it wasn't a multi-year deal. His second deal was a 1-year deal. Prove it to me. Now, so I guess technically you could say he's on his third, but still not a great record.
No, absolutely not. And for some people who would say, like, we picked the wrong person as far as extending for JPP.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
To me, someone like JPP, he does have that extra gear. The problem is that despite his athleticism, he only really plays well when he truly motivates himself. And so if you can't unlock that window, that might be some trouble.
Yeah, and I'm hopefully he's energized by the fact that there is a new, coaching regime in there now. And the fact, there's guys like, I'm literally excited about Kareem Martin. The guy is huge. And he knows what he's doing. He's 6'6", like 265 or something like that. Was playing outside linebacker and D end for the Cardinals last year. And we get Vernon and JPP be able to learn off him. That's definitely going to help. And I really think Vernon is an outside line. He's perfect for a 3-4. JPP is going to be playing D end. He's going to be on the line. The nice part about that is I've seen him take up enough blocks. He could take blocks. He just wasn't getting off them, especially last year.
Yeah. Well, and here's the other thing too. If you pay attention to Betcher's scheme, it thrives on defensive players that are versatile.
Yep.
And can fill any number of positions, can be all over a defense formation so that offensive coordinators and quarterbacks are confused about who's where and, what the blocking scheme is going to be exactly. So having JPP and Vernon, who I think in certain scenarios could both be considered, multiple and versatile in terms of places where they can play in a defensive formation, can only serve to help the Giants.
Oh, 100% with that. I really think, like, they've already talked about, like, putting Vernon and JPP on the same side. That's going to hurt an offensive line regardless. The talent's there.
Yeah, because you can't do them both. You can't block them both if they're on the same side.
And then, and you got a good-sized guy like Kareem Martin on the other side. That's pretty cool. Now, I just want to see who's going to take over the other defensive end spot. If it's going to be, Tomlinson, we already know Snack's going to be playing nose tackle, which is fine because that's what he's played. He's got experience. That's all good. And I got to see if B.J. Goodson actually can stay healthy. I think he'd be great. He's going to be great next to Ogletree if he actually is able to stay healthy.
Right. Their games actually complement each other quite well in terms of playing alongside each other in a 3-4. But the question is, Goodson is a lot like Darkwa in the sense that he would flash and then he'd pull a hamstring. And,
yep.
What do you do?
Well, that's the thing that we're going to carry more linebackers than we ever have. Go on. You hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
All right.
I don't know what that is.
Well, I accidentally cut out. That was my bad. The one thing is we're going to have more linebackers on this team than we ever had. After this draft, I still think we'll probably pick up another veteran. Some of these cheap guys under the radar that are going to happen in the second or third wave of free agency. Gettleman's known for that. He keeps picking up these no-name corners. I'm guessing for special teams.
Yeah.
But, hey, I'm just going to put my trust in them and hope these guys pan out. It seems like it's athletic guys that are coming in. And pretty big corners, actually. They're all like 6-footers and over 200 pounds.
Absolutely.
So, that's the nice thing. I think he likes the ground and pound. Even with the offensive line, he likes bigger guys. He wants people to just be able to bully. And actually, I was kind of surprised that they let DJ Fluker go by the fact that the kind of people that he likes playing with.
Well, I still think, regardless of whether they have, that big free agent signing in them that's going to draw some attention yet, or if they're just looking to fill out the roster, I think that the way that the roster is currently shaped from a salary cap perspective, you have to. There's still moves yet to come that are going to have an impact on the cap and where the cap number ends up resting, prior to the start of the season.
Oh, yeah, people got to realize, first of all, Brandon Marshall is going to get either a pay cut or he's getting cut. There's John Jerry. There's a good chance he's not making the team. That's going to save us, I think $2.5 or $3 million against cap. Then who's the other one? Dwayne Harris, which hasn't got cut yet, which I don't understand why these guys haven't got cut yet, or if they have to wait for June 1st kind of thing. Do you cut them?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I've heard
conflicting
reports about whether you can actually cut a player who can't pass a physical or not. I'm not sure. I'm hearing different things from different people on that. So I'm not sure on that detail, but for some reason you have to think that those moves are coming. It's just a question of when more so than if.
Oh, 100%, man. Getting back to the first topic we talked about, as far as what Giants are going to do, what would you like Giants to do as far as with that number 2 pick? Bigger guys.
It's so interesting. I guess the more that I'm thinking about it, as much as as much as it would be fun to have Barkley for 5 or 6 years, you know, and to get back to that giant brand of football that we all know and love and grew up on, which is pounding the rock down, you know, with a running game that is versatile and can control a game. I think that, you know, even if they are trying to win with Eli this year, you know, it's hard not to look at that number 2 pick as a pick that can set your franchise for another decade. Eli's not playing for another 10 years. He might play for another 2. So if you take Barkley, you don't win within that 2-year window. There's a lot of unknown there at the quarterback position. I think everybody pretty much agrees that Josh Rosen is an Aaron Rodgers-esque sort of prospect. Stay healthy.
You know what? I'm glad you brought up Josh Rosen. Why all of a sudden this week the hype on Josh Rosen has risen to a ridiculous level? Like, everybody wants Rosen now. I don't know what happened. I mean, he always had the talent, and he was always the best passer out of all of them. But all of a sudden, everybody's on Rosen. Any particular thing happened this week that I don't know about?
Well, he had his pro day, right?
Yeah.
You know, in that sort of environment, you know, where he's the only one throwing, there's nobody there to even compare him to from a talent perspective. It's hard to deny that talent. It really is. And so, you know, I think seeing him in that sort of environment is something that really spoke to GMs across the league.
Well, I'm reading some comments, and I'll try to keep you up to date, Justin. First of all, Edgar does not agree with you as far as Rosen is not Rodgers. But I'm going to... God damn it. My bad, guys. Are you there?
I'm here, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I pulled out the damn wire in the mic. So, I wanted to send you on the Josh Rosen thing. Josh Rosen is easily the best passer out of the 5 quarterbacks. The only reason Josh Rosen is not the guaranteed, like, number 1 prospect is his injury history. If it was not for his injury history, he would easily be the number one guy. Because the fact is, they say he's smart as shit. He's had 3 different offensive coordinators since he's been at UCLA. They said he could really pick up a playbook in like a week. So, you know, I'm sure that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but, you know, you get the point. And just the pure throwing talent is just there. He has the touch. He has the arm to just get it down. He throws a pretty ball. Now, yes, I know Jeff Rosen injury prone, and I totally agree with you. That's the only reason he scares me. Or I would be on the Rosen train the whole time. That's the injury prone is the only reason I'm team Sam Darnold. Who's your prospect, Justin?
I've always been drawn to Rosen myself from the very beginning. I just feel like he has the arm talent. In his pro day, he was throwing with accuracy into the wind, which is obviously a skill set that will translate very specifically in New York. And I feel like he's got the personality and the attitude to be able to come in New York, handle the media, and also, quite frankly, handle Odell Beckham. I love Eli, but Eli's not coming in and saying to Beckham, you got to pipe down in a way that Odell understands, obviously, because we're on year 3 and it's getting worse. So, I think that maybe Rosen might be able to, sort of fire back at him a little bit with personality in a way that maybe Odell could actually hear. Odell, if you're listening, stop being a dick. Nobody likes that.
And you know what? I don't usually read the comments during the show, but it's actually amusing me, and I think I'm going to start doing it on the regular. Now, the people, they said, Jeff said he would rather take Darnold, Allen, or Jackson. Now, Darnold, I'm with you, Jeff. I think Darnold would fit in perfect, and honestly, he reminds me of Eli. But he'd be perfect because he needs to sit a year. He's 20. Let him learn under Eli for a year, then put him in. As far as Josh Allen, everything, the arm talent's there, the size is there. The intelligence, I don't know 100%. From reports I've read, he's slow to pick up a playbook, and he's not consistent. He has like a 55% completion percentage. So as far as taking him early, I just don't see it being worth it. Lamar Jackson is he's a wild card to me. I love the talent, and I think if he could sit a year in the right spot, I think he'd be awesome. But that's the problem with these guys. They're they got to go in the right situation, and some of these guys are definitely not going to.
Here's the thing about Lamar Jackson, and maybe they do take Lamar Jackson. Listen, I'm not in the Giants front office, and for the first time in a long time, I don't really have any feel in my gut about what the Giants are going to do. We went through the 3 different scenarios, and I think
first of all, you know what? Thank you for reminding me, Justin. Where was Ernie Accorsi? I thought he was coming on.
Like I said,
you get a
the
Christmas
last
card
I
from
heard
him.
from Ernie, he just keeps telling me, look at me, not looking me right in the eye because we communicate via letter, but he keeps telling me in the letters that he sends me that they're gonna right the ship, restore Giants pride, and set the franchise up to be successful down the road. To me, without saying it, that says quarterback.
Yeah.
And so, I guess if I had to lean somewhere, that's what I would say. I mean, I just don't. The problem is that I don't think that the starting running back is on the team right now.
I agree with you with that, but I think in this draft we can easily get a starting running back, if not 2, like 2 good ones, if we really wanted to load up. Granted, we would have to get extra picks because we only have 5 picks in this draft.
So if you take a quarterback, it's going to come down to if you take Lamar Jackson, if he's the quarterback that you take, of all the quarterbacks in this draft.
At number 2?
No, not at number 2. Not at number 2. This is for the commenter that said, I'd rather take Lamar Jackson, right?
Yeah.
if you take Lamar Jackson wherever you take him, you are committed to, at least during the beginning of his tenure, his starting tenure, running an offense that he is familiar with. You can't, in my experience, you can't change a quarterback through practice, right?
Yeah.
Quarterback develop skill set, under fire. They develop, comfort over fire in actual games that mean something. And so when Lamar Jackson first starts to play in the NFL in games that matter, he's going to revert to what he's comfortable with, the way that he knows to be successful. And that's to run around and make plays with his feet and run the RPOs, the run-pass options, and that's fine. But if you take him wherever you take him, you're committed to running that. Now, the Giants have Mike Shula. Mike Shula's run that offense with Cam, for the past few years. So if there was an offensive coordinator that knew how to do it and could do it, I think Mike Shula is that guy. The question is that what they want to do? Because if you do that, that's not an offense that Eli's running. So I'm not saying that you start Jackson right away, but you're almost running two different sets of, reps and preparing two different offenses depending on who your quarterback is. Because you can't just drop that stuff in a day, right? Shula's going to be running an offense for Eli, and he's going to be he's going to be developing an offense for Jackson if and when he's ready. So it's because of that I don't think that happens. Now, I've been developing this in my mind over the past 2 or 3 days. Picked up some steam after the Jets traded up. The scenario that would be more likely from a quarterback position for me, that would sort of be off the board, is trading back to 12. Taking Baker Mayfield if he's there, picking up 22 or 23, whatever it is from the Bills in that process, and then taking either the big juice, as James likes to call him, Chubb, or Sonny Michel at 22. I think Baker Mayfield has a more versatile skill set, so he's going to run around a little bit, definitely more than Eli, but he also has that gunslinger mentality, and can make plays with his arm when he has to, in a more NFL-ready style than Lamar Jackson at the moment. So,
the problem with Baker Mayfield, and I'm with you.
Position, I think that would be it.
I'm with you on Baker Mayfield, but I just don't think he fits what the Giants do. He just talks too much, and they won't put up with it. And honestly, you don't want your backup quarterback, because he'd be a backup for a first year, making news. That's the problem. I do want to get to some of these comments because they're definitely intriguing me. And Annette, who's a longtime listener, we know, she brought up a good point. We could trade down to 5 because Denver wants a quarterback. And at 5, I'm seeing this big argument between with Barkley, Chubb, or Nelson, taking into that position. Well, and some people were talking about taking those guys at 2. Well, first of all, the first argument I want to put out there, you don't take a guard at 2 overall. As much as I like Quentin Nelson, you don't take a guard that high, especially in a draft that is stacked full of good guards. we get a starting guard literally at the top of the second round that would be just fine, such as a guy like Willie Hernandez or Billy Price or something like that. Now, Chubb is intriguing because, we know Giants football. We love our DNs. And, Chubb is a special talent. I could see Giants pulling that crap at 2. But Barkley's another one. You don't take him at 2. The only reason being is there's so many good running backs in this draft. You can't take Barkley at 2 and then not trade down with all these people that want quarterbacks. You have to trade down from 2. But at 5, let's say we get that 5th pick. Justin, what would you do? Would you take Barkley, Nelson, or Chubb if they're available?
At 5?
Well, let's say the Denver trades up with us because that's a possibility. And they get up 3 spots. They give us. Let's say we got the same haul. We got 3 second-round picks.
Okay, we got that. That was going to be my question: is what was the trade? What did I get back?
Well, just because it matches up exactly what the Jets did. They moved up 3 spots. Denver moves up 3 spots, even though it's a little bit higher. So I honestly think they should give us more than 3 seconds. So let's just, for example, say 3 second-rounders.
Well, first of all, one of those 3 guys that you mentioned is not going to be there. Just by the numbers, because Cleveland's not taking.
Well, let's be straight. If it goes quarterback 1, 2, 3, Cleveland's probably going to be able to trade that 4th pick because someone's going to be scared about getting that last 4th or 5th guy. I mean, honestly. I mean, granted, they could take Barkley or Chubb or whoever the hell they want. I've heard different rumors on. You know what? Let's even throw another guy in there, Fitzpatrick as well at number 5.
That's
what I
was going to say. If I'm sitting at 5, I'm leaning towards Fitzpatrick. I feel like he's the type of player in Betcher's scheme that presents a skill set that Betcher's going to be able to take advantage of. And so I think Fitzpatrick at 5 is the pick. Or maybe you take Quentin Nelson at 5. So the argument for Nelson at 5 is he's the best guard in the draft, and picking him there, you have a bona fide toss of a hog molly, as Dave Gettleman likes to say, who is going to be able to reestablish the line of scrimmage, and not to mention the fact that by drafting him, you will have drafted 4, or you will have replaced 4 starters from last year's line. Which, again, I said it on Wednesday. You want to talk about a general manager putting his money where his mouth is. You'll have Solder. You'll have moved Eric Flowers over to right tackle to replace Bobby Hart.
Yeah.
I think the offensive lineman from the Jaguars, I'm still not really comfortable to say his name.
I don't know how the proper pronounce it. I just go Osmena.
Omename or whatever his name is.
Yeah, sure.
I think he's a starter, and then obviously you would have Nelson. So, I mean, I think behind that line, you double down on Eli. You use the second round. You use the 3 seconds to take, a corner, a running back, and a linebacker in the second round, and that's the way. If you're trying to win now, I think that's the way that you structure that roster. But
yeah, I'm with you, man. I think
you're trying to pick the best player available that's going to have the highest individual impact, then I think it's Minkah Fitzpatrick.
See, I'm different. See, Fitzpatrick, I'm not completely sold on, and I honestly think he might drop. From what stuff I've been reading, but who knows? It's all smoke screens at this point. I actually think Derwin James actually has a possibility of going higher than Fitzpatrick because he's another tweener. They can play like linebacker, safety, fast as crap. And that's the thing with Fitzpatrick. He can't play outside corner from what I've read up. They're like he can play the slot, he can play safety, and all that stuff, but he's not going to be. He's going to be like honestly, he's going to be like a Honey Badger kind of player. I know that hurts to some of you guys that we did get Honey Badger, but as far as going back to the question is, honestly, the more I think about it, I think Quentin Nelson would be the best pick at 5. I like Chubb, and especially with our defensive ends, and if we're getting rid of JPP and we're getting rid of Vernon, Chubb would fit in. The only thing is Chubb going to be great for a 3-4? I don't know. He's more of a 4-3 D end. But with Nelson, again, we're going with the retool and rebuilding at the same time. We have a foundation with Nelson, a good young player that'll probably be there, hopefully his whole career. And the fact that the kid actually grew up a Giants fan is huge in my mind anyway. Because when it comes contract time, as long as he's had a good, run with us, I would assume he'd be more privy to re-sign with us for maybe a hometown discount, or at least be quicker to sign with us. But that's the thing I like with with the Hog Molly thing, because honestly, if you stuck Nelson in that line next to Eric Flowers, as far as that run game, there's going to be beasts on both sides of that running game. Whether it's Solder and whatever the hell his name is, O's Mame or whatever. I'm trying to read off the chat, but if that's going on, then hey, we got a stacked little team, and that's what I like to see.
Well, and here's the thing. It's another example of, in this draft, the position that the Giants are in, the options that they're going to have, even the trade down options, which, are not an exact science, right? We're speculating on what it is that they're going to do. But even the trade downs that we're speculating on, I think they're reasonable. And I don't think that there's another bad decision there. So I know that Captain Negative.
And we are absolutely in a win-win situation this year. Honestly, I think the worst part would be if we sat there and took Barkley. I think that'd be the worst move we could possibly do. Which,
right.
Like you said, you're still getting a talent at 2, but I honestly, as much as we can do with this draft, I think that'd be the worst possible move.
Well, so, again, you take Barkley at 2, right? Barkley at 2 is not, by itself, is not a horrible decision. What would compound it and potentially make it worse is if in the remainder of the draft, they compounded it by making additional mistakes. So at 2, I don't think that they can make a poor decision. However, Captain Negative's not here to defend himself. you know, if things go a certain way, basically not the way that he thinks they should go, Captain Negative is going to tell you the Giants made a mistake and the sky is falling. Don't buy into it. Come over to the tripod of positivity.
That's right.
There are additional picks in the draft. There are additional drafts to be had in additional years. So, you know, are there things that we would like to see the Giants do? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, all the scenarios that we talked about are scenarios that the Giants could turn into a beneficial situation for them. So it's about having conviction in your decision and following the right path to make it happen, which McAdoo definitely couldn't do last year.
And either could Jerry Reese, because the problem with Jerry Reese was he targeted a player, and the problem is if someone went up and got him in front of us, which happened a few times, his whole plan went out. He didn't know what to do. Where I think, Gettleman's one of these people. He's like, if he wants a player, he's going to go up and get him. He's going to go up and trade up. He might be one of these guys that trades back up in the first round if he sees a player that he wants. He wants to make sure he gets him. Granted, we don't have that much draft capital right now, but who knows, by the end of this first round. The other thing with that is, I'll give you another scenario that I saw. What if the Jets were like, hey, I just want to move up to your spot, one spot?
Nope. No, sir. Listen.
Well, I think that would tell you a lot as far as if we didn't want a quarterback, you absolutely make that trade. But if we do want a quarterback, I would say you don't. But hey, to go down a spot, they did it last year with San Francisco and Chicago. I think they give a third-round pick that year, and then I got a future third just to move down a spot. Is that not a bad move?
It's the other thing about the Jets making this move, and God damn it, I hate the Jets. If they
let's
be
honest though, Justin. You know what? For all you Jets fans that listen to us, which you probably do because you wish you were us. Jets are going to mess it up. Let's be honest. I actually like the move that they grabbed Teddy Bridgewater, and they got him pretty cheap. But now you're going to have Teddy Bridgewater, you have Josh McDowell, and then you just get rid of a whole bunch of draft capital to move up to get another quarterback. You guys realize you can only play one of those guys, right?
Right.
Which, that's my problem. That's my thing with trading with the Jets. They're going to mess it up. They're going to have a high pick. Whether it's a high pick in the second or third round, well, actually, they don't have any second rounds, so it would have to be a third-round picks. So, hey, I'm just putting that little out there.
If the Giants take a quarterback, whoever that is, we know that the Jets are taking quarterback, whether they trade up with us or they make a move with Cleveland. If they do that, we know the Jets are taking a quarterback. So if the Giants take a quarterback in this draft, they better be absolutely positive in their mind that the guy they got is better than the guy the Jets get. because those two players will be tied at the hip forever.
Well, these
And
quarterbacks
if the
are going to be
Giants
tied
made
to
a
the hip
mistake and the
regardless.
Jets got it right, a long decade.
Let's be honest. That's not going to happen. These quarterbacks are going to be linked regardless. All five of them. And if you want to even, throw a sixth in there, Mason Rudolph, all six of these guys are going to be linked. It's a pretty good quarterback class. But the odds are probably only, in being generous, maybe half of them will actually make it. So the problem is we just want to make sure if we do take that quarterback, we get the one that does. And honestly, with us drafting at 2, if we do want that quarterback, we get the top echelon of the quarterbacks. You take either Darnold or you take Rosen. Do you agree with that, Justin?
I mean, I think those are the top
those
two.
I would assume those two are above the other three.
Those are the
Maybe
top
I'm wrong.
two quarterbacks in the draft. So, and I think it's fairly undisputed. So again, if you're not going to take one of those two guys, and you are taking a quarterback, we're taking Saquon Barkley out of the discussion for this particular scenario.
Yep.
But if you are taking a quarterback and it's not Sam Darnold or Josh Rosen, then you should definitely trade out of 2 and hope that the guy that you want is there. Because the rest of those guys can be had later in the draft, so you might as well maximize your value. And if he's not there, have a solid plan B that you can fall back on that you're comfortable with. And maybe that plan B is Davis Webb. But to take a quarterback not named Josh Rosen or Sam Darnold in the first 2 picks of the 2018 NFL draft would be a mistake.
100%. And I just want to put it out there. I'm looking at the comments, and Jim, I totally agree with you as far as Buffalo's trying to move up. Buffalo's scared as hell now that Jets got that 3rd pick. They want a quarterback bad. Now there's a chance Denver won't draft a quarterback. Let's say they think Case Keenum's good for a year at least. But I think Denver is going to be there too. The only way Bills get the quarterback they want is if they jump to 2. For them to jump to 2 with us is they literally have to give their whole draft. Just about. They're 2 firsts. They have 2 seconds and they have 2 thirds, and we probably get a future first on top of it. Do you agree, Justin?
Absolutely.
If not more, because we're jumping 10 spots. Yeah, and I did see the comment before. Will Nelson be there at 12? No, Nelson will not probably be there at 12. Is there a chance that Nelson's there at 12? There's a slight possibility, mattering on how people gauge guards. But there is going to be a guy such as like Mike McGinty, the left tackle from Notre Dame, who was his teammate and who was probably the best left tackle in this draft, who could literally learn from Nate Solder while playing other positions for us, which could help out our offensive line as well while we add all these other draft picks. Granted, and you guys got to figure, Denver, Arizona, Buffalo are desperate for quarterbacks. I think Buffalo, it could possibly. I think Buffalo did the smart thing by signing A.J. McCarron. At least you got a young quarterback. But Denver, you really gonna think that Case Keenum is your savior? Come on, was he on his 5th team? In Arizona, you're putting all your eggs in Sam Bradford basket. Go ahead with that. You just paid what, $20 million? What do you gonna see? 4 games out of him?
Exactly.
These are all A.J. McCarron, Sam Bradford, and even probably Case Keenum are all bridge quarterbacks, and they want someone to learn behind those guys, at least for a year. Or hey, if the rookie beats out the person in the preseason, so be it. And that's what that's the nice part about it, is we're in a prime position because we can rob any of them. If we only want to drop down to Denver to the 5th pick, fantastic. We still get a good choice of players, especially because it'll probably be 1, 2, 3, 4 of quarterbacks. If at least 1 through 3. So we might have our huge choice of all those guys. But what's Arizona drafting? Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't know off the top of my head. I want to say, it's in the 20s.
Are they in the 20s? Damn.
I think so.
People in the chat. What's Arizona drafted? I'm not looking it up right now, so I'm being lazy. I know you guys know.
Way to take advantage of your new position.
And then, you know what? They gave it to me. Thank you, Brian. 15. I don't want to drop all the way down to 15. Like, let's put it this way. For what Bills would have to give us, I don't even know if Arizona has the capital to give us, everything that we would need to drop down to 15. You would almost have to throw players in there. And what are you going to do? Throw us Larry Fitzgerald? They don't really have that many, Patrick Peterson, which would be awesome, but But the problem with Patrick Peterson, we would have to try to fit him under a cap. We're like $5 million. We're like $5 million under the cap right now.
I want to talk a little bit about the draft compensation that the Colts got from the Jets. And what I want to say about it is that to move up those spots. Now, what I'm not saying is I'm not convinced.
I'm sorry, Justin. The guys that are making me laugh that are what they would think Arizona would have to give up to get to our pick. I'm seeing David Johnson. I'm seeing they would have to give us their first-round pick for the next 5 years.
That's not happening. Well, what I was going to say is moving up, getting 3 picks for 3 spots, while it's an impressive haul, the Giants are going to need more.
Oh, that's where I think Buffalo, if we don't want a quarterback, and that's the big if. If we don't want a quarterback, and that's what I think Buffalo trade would help us out, so we would have 2 first-rounders this year, 2 second-rounders. So, in theory, that should be 4 starters, or at least 3 to 4 starters, right? If you draft them in the first round, they should be a starter. Or, at least a key contributor. The same thing with the second round. So, would you rather have, let's say, Barkley, or let's say I can get, Darius Geis from LSU on top of having another 2 starters? And that's where I'm at with the trade back, and that's why, all the people that love Barkley, and I'm not saying Barkley's not awesome, but is his talent that much more than every other running back in this draft? Like, how much more do you think he has to do to? Honestly, I bet you I'll put money on right now that Barkley is not the leading rusher out of these rookies at the end of the season. And that's not even knowing, who goes to who. It's just the odds are, there's too many good running backs.
Well, and historically, there's always been great value in running back later in the draft.
Yep. And just look at last year. Fournette, would I would love the Fournette to be on the Giants? Absolutely. I think he has Giant all over him. But, our old coach had to steal him. So be it. And but Kareem Hunt and Alvin Kamara were the better running backs on the season. And they were both in third round.
Absolutely.
And I want to answer this question. They said they think if Bills were going to make a trade, they would have made a trade already with the Giants.
No.
I'm going to say, Brian, I'm going to disagree with that because the reason they traded up with Cincinnati to get the 12th pick, because it could be more reasonable for the Giants to, trade down. For the simple fact being, going 2 to 20 is a big difference than going 2 to 12. And you still get a talent, especially a lot of this blue chip talent is getting pushed down the draft because these quarterbacks are going to go probably higher than they should as far as talent-wise, but that's the way it is with quarterbacks. What do we got here as far as
the longer? Let me explain something to you.
Yep.
If the Giants, even if the Giants think that there's a 95% chance that they're going to trade the pick,
yep,
the Giants are going to want to do that as late as they can. Because they
want to see what happens with the Cleveland pick. It's simple as that. They got to see what happens.
The later that they trade that pick, the more value that there is in that pick in terms of the haul that you get back. So, just because they haven't made that trade yet doesn't mean that they're not going to. To me, it means that the Giants know that they can get more later.
Oh, 100%, Justin. I'm totally with you because the simple fact is it's going to come down to it's going to be Cleveland drafts, let's, for example, Sam Darnold. Then all these teams start sweating and be like, shit, there's only, 3 or 4 left. And just like Ryan Dunleavy said on the show, let's be honest, you like one over the other 5. And Rosen's really the belle of the ball at that point. So if Rosen's there at 2, we might even get a whole lot more than somebody that comes out of nowhere. Who knows? Like a New England Patriots or whatever. Granted, I would hope the Giants would never do that.
Never, ever trade with.
Absolutely not. Well, first of all, I don't know what the Patriots. Patriots have to give them a whole lot. Like we'll take your picks. We want Belichick with him, with those picks. We'll want him back.
We still get, and we immediately fire Pat Shermer.
Yeah, it'd be a whirlwind of moods that day. And I agree with you, Brian. He said for the Giants to trade down, they would want consecutive first-round picks in future drafts. I agree. Well, especially the one thing that's why I keep saying Buffalo guys is they have the draft capital this year, and if Giants are trying to win this year, it's nice that Buffalo already has 2 number 1s, 2 number 2s, and 2 number 3s. Everybody else would definitely have to give up future 1s. And Buffalo would still probably have to give up future 1s for us to drop that far anyway. But Giants are definitely trying to win this year. So that's where I like the draft capital of Buffalo.
Absolutely.
We got Berkeley. Yeah, I'm looking at the comments. Justin, as far as let's talk a little bit about free agency. We went and got Nate Solder, Pat Ozmena. I'm guessing that's his name. We got Kareem Martin. We got Jonathan Stewart. We got Teddy Williams, and I think Curtis Riley, which honestly I think are just preseason bodies that will possibly make the team, but who knows. We did lose out on Honey Badger. I honestly think it's a blessing in disguise. The only reason being because I like Honey Badger, but he has ended 3 of his 5 seasons on the IR. As far as, there's going to be other moves. What would you give Gettleman's grade right now?
So, I think that you would give him, I'd give him a B+, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think he addressed a position of need from the jump of the draft. He missed out on Norwell, but from everything that we know, it wasn't due to a lack of effort in any way. It was just a situation where I think Norwell preferred the Jaguars, and if that's the case, there's not much that Gettleman can do about that.
Well, honestly, that's what I think happened with that one was they offered about the same contract, but because Florida has no state income tax, that you get a whole lot more money from Jacksonville. I mean, and I think that's why we overpaid on Nate Solder because we were dealing with the same thing with Houston. But go ahead.
But it's a situation where, he did what he had to do to address the position of need. Even after that, he went out. He secured 2 starters. In the process, he's going to change up 3 positions on the offensive line next year already, with what we would classify as upgrades. Everybody's hating on the Jonathan Stewart signing.
You trust me. I'm seeing it on the chat room already. They're all hating on Jonathan Stewart signing.
Listen. Let's be real. Listen, I would hate on the Jonathan Stewart signing if I felt like Jonathan Stewart was going to be, if Jonathan Stewart is our starter for game 1, if he's our week 1 starter, then yeah, I'm upset. But he's not going to be that.
I agree.
The starting running back is not on this roster. However, a few things about Jonathan Stewart. Number 1, he knows Mike Shula's offense from a running back position. That's invaluable because I think they're taking a running back in this draft, whether it's Barkley or not. And so you have a pro like Jonathan Stewart who knows the offense and can teach a young stud running back how to make it work. Number 2.
Well, not only that, you also got Wayne Gallman that he could teach as well.
Exactly. Number 2, and most importantly, Jonathan Stewart is a bruiser of a back between the tackles. He may not have a sparkling yards per carry, but in Carolina, he was the guy that they went to on 3rd and 1 and on the goal line to punch it into the end zone if it wasn't Cam Newton. All right? So Jonathan Stewart has a nose to be able to get that third and short yardage conversion, which is something that the Giants haven't been able to do since Brandon Jacobs. It's been like 8 years. That's number 2. And number 3, you need depth. You need depth. Listen, Jonathan Stewart, for all intents and purposes, he replaced Shane Vereen. What has Shane Vereen done
100%.
over the past 2 years for the Giants? Nothing. So would I rather have Jonathan Stewart, given what I just laid out, for $2.75 million against the cap? Abso-friggin-lutely. Now, if the plan was to take Jonathan Stewart to be our starter, then I agree with everybody that's upset. But I'm telling you, I can't make this any clearer. That is not the case.
100%. And you know what? I want to get to this overall sentiment, and you know what? It's going to be easier to argue because Captain Negative is not on this podcast right now. The Giants can win. Everybody thinks this roster is so far away. If you look at the roster, we have one of the younger rosters in the league. You take away Eli, you take away Brandon Marshall, our age group is pretty, what are we, in our mid-20s as far as average age? And especially we just got rid of DRC as well, which was one of our older players. That, you know, and that being said, we have the talent. We had freak injuries. We lost all 3 of our wide receivers in one game. It wasn't, we lost them over a time and anything like that. We lost all 3 wide receivers in one game. And we didn't have the backups to deal with it. Granted, and here's my problem with everybody else, guys.
And here's the thing. Sorry, Tim, for jumping in. But
yeah, go ahead, man.
You said we didn't have the talent or the roster to be able to deal with it. And nobody would have. You take any team in the league, the Philadelphia Eagles. If they lost 3 players at any position, their top 3 players at any position in one game, they don't win the Super Bowl last year. There's no way to combat that with the salary cap structure the way that it is.
There's no way you think your number 4 can be a number 1.
That's why he's number 4.
Exactly. And if he's that good, then you got lucky as shit in the draft or undrafted free agent, whatever. And the other thing was, guys, we all know what the problem was come last year is the offensive line. If we fix the offensive line, and I know that's a big if, and I think we're going the right direction. You realize how much that affects the rest of the team. If we're able to run the ball, that chews up clock, that allows Eli to have play-action passing, which he's one of the best in the league at that. But if you try to do play-action passing last year, defenses would have literally laughed if Eli tried to do a play-action pass. And if he has time back there, we have the receiving core that can pick teams apart. Odell was picking people apart by himself. But now we have Evan Ingram, and Sterling Shepard showed me that he could be a number 1 wide receiver by himself. Sterling Shepard is going to be huge next year as long as he keeps stepping it up like he did this past season. And that's just on the opposite side of the ball. Yeah, the defense, with the offensive line being fixed, and they're chewing up clock, the defense is rested. And let's get crazy. If the offense is actually scoring points, then the other side of the ball, on their offensive side gets one-dimensional, which allows our defense to take advantage of the pass rushers that we do have. And with Betcher being the defensive coordinator now, we're going to be blitzing and being a lot more aggressive than we ever have in the past few years. This guy blitzes 80% of the damn plays. And, hey, I love it. Let's go to risk reward because the risk reward is going to be a lot more turnovers. It's going to be a lot more sacks. Will we give up, a long touchdown here and there? Sure, by making a mistake. But you know what? I'll take the risk. The talent is there. You tell me on defense with Landon Collins, even Eli Apple can be a starter as long as he gets his head on straight. And Janoris Jenkins is literally a top 5 corner as long as his head's on straight.
Absolutely.
And you know what? And
Couldn't agree with.
Yeah, and just adding to the draft, and just adding talent to this team. Come on, we actually added Alec Ogletree. We actually have a solid linebacking core, or we're getting there. We haven't had a good linebacking core in years. And it's always been our deficit on defense. And now we have Ogletree back there. Goodson, if he stays healthy. This Cream Martin, which I really think is going to be I think he's really going to tear it up this year for whatever reason. I just got that feeling. And I really think Vernon's going to tear it up from the outside linebacker spot as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, God. Here, you know what? Cap negatives. Okay. Giants aren't better than the Vikings, Eagles, Panthers, Falcons, Rams, 49ers, etc. 49ers? Why? They have Jimmy Garoppolo. You know what? I can get Eagles, I can't even argue right now. Obviously, they won the Super Bowl. Vikings, obviously, were in the NFC Championship. I know they're a solid team. But, guys, they got Kirk Cousins. You really think this is a step up from what they had? Or how much of a step? Was it an extra completion a game because Kirk Cousins is in? Oh, God. These people. Panthers. Why are the Panthers so good, guys?
And if you think the Panthers are good, we got their GM. we got their GM that built their team, and we got their offensive coordinator.
Yep.
Guy, I understand we had a bad year last year. Believe me. We sat through it too. It wasn't fun. Wasn't fun for us here at Bleed Big Blue.
No.
But this whole the sky is falling just because the sky is falling.
Oh, James left his mic on. You got to put your own mic on, James, because we don't have the.
Look who decided to show up.
Yeah. We kept the negatives back. Yeah, God, he heard.
Late.
You know the funny thing is, Justin, he heard that we were talking. The Giants are good. All of a sudden, he's like, dun 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 dun. These guys come in and
turn
show
on.
I don't know how to turn them on. Giants aren't ready to win now. How about all these people that talked about? And it's a big if with every team every year. You know, it's hard to stay healthy. And it's funny because it does sound like him.
Captain Negative.
Tag me in.
Oh, here we go. Did you hear us talking up the Giants? We were too positive, and you're like, oh shit, I have to get in there.
I heard you saying that Kirk Cousins is not a step up from Case Keenum, and I'm completely confused from that. I didn't know about. Wow, that's a statement and a half right there.
Well, I totally agree with it.
I think it's a pretty big step up from Mr. Keenum in Minnesota. But what were you guys? Big Blue Giant talk, huh? You guys are the sun's shining. You guys are feeling good. How can I bring you down? How can I talk you back to reality?
Well, you know what? I'm trying to argue with some of these guys. I'm looking at the comments. And, Brian, I'm talking to you pretty much. He's like, Giants are not ready to win now. And I know you agree with that.
I don't think
I disagree with that.
I don't think they're ready to win right now. No team has ever made it to the Super Bowl after winning 3 games. Have they made it to the AFC Championship? Yeah. Is that the goal? No, not with a 37-year-old championship. It's quarterback. It's all in, right? It's Super Bowl or bust. Obviously, they're building because they think this team is close enough to win a Super Bowl. I don't know about that, man. I just, there's a lot of different pieces that need to fit on a 3-4 defense when you make that switch. I don't know that Solder is, Jesus Christ, the next coming. I know that everybody wants to say he is, and that it's going to fix everything. But, there's still 4 very questionable pieces left on that offensive line. So, did they get better? Yeah, they're better. But, I don't know that they're let's not start putting them in the talk with, Philly. And, we got into that problem last year, talking Super Bowl and all that stuff. And this team is going to be so good. Like, I am pumped. Like, never again. Like, I won't get suckered again. This is pump the brakes. And, there's a lot of different things that are going on here. And let's see how it pans out during the course of the season. I'm not going to get my hopes up based off a couple of free agent signings. We've seen teams fall flat on their face with free agent signings before. We have no clue which way they're going to go in the draft. And I got news for you guys. If they make the wrong decision in the draft, I don't care how good they are this year, you got it wrong.
Well, now, Jim, I'm glad you're on because, one, you're calmer on Sundays, which is it's a lot easier.
I am calmer on Sundays. I am. I haven't had my coffee yet, though.
Me and Justin already went over it. The big move yesterday was Jets moving up to number 3, which helps us out humongous.
I don't see how.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you.
Everybody's saying that this helps. The Giants are in the same position they were in. It's either a quarterback or you trade it back.
But it's the fact that
James,
the trade chips we're the only trade chips.
You're wrong.
I don't think so. I don't see how the Jets trading down to 3. I don't see how the Jets trading from 6 to 3 has anything to do with us.
Because the Colts weren't taking a quarterback at 3.
I can care less about that. See, to me, there's a significant drop-off. I think what the Jets are hoping right now is that we're not taking Rosen. I think what the Jets are hoping is that it's going to go Darnold, Barkley, and I think Rosen's the guy they want. They've put themselves in position for Rosen. So the way I feel is that there's a bidding war on Rosen right now. So I don't see how it was any different if Darnold goes first.
No, this is why it's different. Because Colts are off the clock, and it's going to be a quarterback needy team as the Jets. A team like Buffalo, Arizona, Denver are all like shit.
Were we ever going to make a trade with the Jets?
We don't get that.
Were we ever going to make a trade with the Jets?
We still could now. Move down one spot.
No,
if they really want Rosen that bad.
Do you honestly think that they are with the pick the Jets gave up? How are they getting that pick? What do they have to give up? If you're the Giants right now, you would even talk to the Jets? Never. It's not happening. So it doesn't. So and you were never going to trade back with the Jets at 6 anyway. So how does this affect the Giants whatsoever? The team with the Giants right now that have to be the only way this affects anything is it puts a little pressure on Elway because I think the guy that everybody wants is Rosen.
No, and that's the thing. It puts pressure on the people they know. It's not nobody's going to slide.
But guys, it's not going to change anything for the Giants. I mean, because if the Giants have the pick at 2 and they're on the clock, and Darnold goes first, we've talked about this a million times. There's going to be a shit ton of teams that are trying to get Rosen at that point.
Well, you know what the funny part is? I literally just saw an article this morning and I want to give props to me and you about this. The article says it's QB or trade back.
Yeah, I mean it's obvious. And here's another thing I want to say.
Who wrote that article?
Because hold on, here's another thing I did. I wrote it. I just got done.
I'll show it to you.
Here's another thing I want to say.
to you.
At no point here, because this is something that's got misconstrued, I think, from something that I think is going to completely. We've been mistaken with this. Is we keep saying quarterback or trade back. That does not mean that we do not think that Barkley, Nelson, Fitzpatrick, Chubb are good players. That it does not saying that the Giants should draft a QB or trade back is not a referendum on the players that they would be in position to get at 4, 5, and 6. It's just that when the value of the quarterback is that big, and you saw it with what the Jets gave up. I mean, the Jets said, "We're getting one of these 3 guys, and that's it." And we'll take our chances. That shows you how if you get the quarterback, you can mask other deficiencies on your team. Without the quarterback, you can't. You can't mask not having a quarterback. So teams are willing to sell their soul to the devil in order to do that. And I don't think the Jets trading to 3 has any effect on the teams that are going to be salivating over 2 if Darnold goes first. If Rosen's on the ball.
It's not just them being at 3, though. It's what they gave up. They literally started the asking price at 3.2s. They move up 3
That wouldn't
spots.
be mine. I wouldn't be asking. I'd be asking for more. Because to me, you just traded for Baker Mayfield. Like, that's the price for Baker Mayfield. If I'm Gettleman, that's what I tell them. You just got to – that was the Baker Mayfield price. That was the Josh Allen price. I'm sitting on Josh Rosen.
You couldn't even move up. You couldn't even talk to me if it wasn't at least 3.2s. And it matters how far you're going to go back. For instance, the team we've talked about the trade with is Buffalo. The reason I like the Buffalo trade is if we do trade back, they have all that draft capital this year. And they would have to give up a future first as well. But we would get 2 1s, 2 2s, 2 3s easily to move that.
And guys, you also got to remember, you also don't remember what team it is. I mean, if it's Buffalo, you're getting a lot more because of the fact that you're trading out of the top 10. If it's Denver, maybe it's a little bit more than what the Jets gave up. Maybe it's an extra 3rd-round pick next year or something like that, or
exactly.
extra 4th round this year or something like that. But it's a better deal. Maybe I get a player off the roster that I can use from them. Maybe I get a young kid that's maybe going to be, a chance that you got him in his 3rd year now where he's not a lot. Maybe you never know what you can ask for in a draft and a negotiation where the team's willing to give up when they're paying to get a quarterback that they think is the next decade. They will flip and they will give you these things. So I think Gettleman just needs to sit there right now and see how it plays out. If Darnold goes 1, you're sitting there with the golden ticket.
And that's exactly why I think the Jets, helps put that pressure on the team.
I can't wait for the Jets to take Josh Allen and blow it. That's what I can't wait for.
I really think that's what's going to happen anyway.
Honestly, I got to feel it
I'm
too.
waiting for Josh Allen to go number 1.
Oh, God. That's the dream scenario.
Yeah.
But this all gets down for the Giants. What do they think they have? Are they in play for a quarterback or are they not? I honestly think that you could trade back. See, I don't think that Cleveland would take Barkley at 4. I think Cleveland is enamored with Chubb, and I think all this quarterback talk right now, I think they're saying, you know what, we're going to end up with our quarterback of the future, and we got Myles Garrett on one side, and we got Chubb on the other. Let's roll.
Yep.
And they put all this money into their offense. They got Carlos Hyde. They got Duke Johnson. You're going to draft Barkley? I would think Hyde takes you out of the Barkley run.
With Indianapolis being out of there, and they wanted Chubb. I think Chubb is definitely in the mix for Cleveland.
So, I'm of the impression that you can trade back right now with Denver, and you can realistically have a shot at Barkley. And I don't want to be one to brag, ladies and gentlemen, but around 2 or 3 months ago, you heard it right here on this podcast when I said that the top 3-4 picks of the draft were going to be quarterback. And everyone told me I was completely insane. Remember?
Well, you are. Let's be clear. You are completely insane, but that's not the reason why.
That wasn't usually the crazy part.
Touché, buddy.
But I just, we've been preaching it for literally, 2 months? If you don't like the quarterback, you trade back, period.
Yeah,
It's stupid.
I mean, it's just
all these people that are like, take Barkley. It makes no sense.
Why would
you give up the golden ticket to take? Yes, you would get Barkley.
And I would absolutely love to rub it in all the Giant fans' faces to have them trade back, and then the Giant fans realize that the top 3 picks are going to be quarterbacks, and they always were going to be quarterbacks. So the draft for position players starts at 4. And if Cleveland is taking Chubb, you can get Barkley at 5. So I can conceivably trade with Denver, get a couple of extra picks, even if I don't like the deal, and walk away from the draft with either Nelson, take Chubb off the board. You're guaranteed Nelson, Fitzpatrick, or Barkley plus picks. So if it's not a quarterback, what the fuck are you doing?
We actually talked about earlier that at 5, Quentin Nelson might be the pick.
Justin, you're guaranteed to walk away at 5 if you make that deal with one of the 3. Barkley, or let's even go one of the 4. Let's say Cleveland shocks us and takes somebody else. There's 4 guys there. If the top 3 picks are quarterbacks, you're talking about Fitzpatrick, you're talking about Nelson, you're talking about Barkley, and you're talking about Chubb. I mean, are you kidding me, guys? Plus picks, that's what you're looking at. So it's one of those. It's one of those 4 players.
And that's the thing. If we don't need that quarterback, we can set up the foundation of our depth for years.
That's $1 million question. I mean, there you go. And I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to them. I'm not opposed if that's the case. I don't care which one of those 4 guys they got. I can care less. Get me the extra picks. Do not take one of those guys at 2 when you can trade back 3 or 4 spots. Get one of them there, and then go ahead and still pick and have extra picks to go ahead and make this team better and fill other needs.
And let me ask you
it's
this,
just
James,
common sense, guys. It's. I'm not saying anything bad about Barkley and those other guys.
And most importantly, here's the thing. The Jets and Colts did us a favor because if it is Denver, they gave us a pretty good idea in terms of what the value is.
And if Denver, you're telling me Denver doesn't have a couple of players on their roster that can potentially sweeten a deal with a couple of draft picks? So maybe they don't have as many second rounders, but maybe, is Emmanuel Sanders available? Is one of their linebackers available?
I'll take Brandon Marshall as linebacker.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what that's a negotiation where, you see what you can get. But, hey, you know what, we don't like the picks that you have, but I think I may consider it instead of an extra 3rd-round pick if you threw this guy in the deal. Teams will consider that when they're bartering for the quarterback.
But if I'm I say to Denver, hey, look, the Jets moved up 3 spots with Indianapolis, and they gave away 3 twos. So you got to match that and give me a little bit more because my pick's higher.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the starting point. That's the starting point. Where are you going from there? And that's the nice part. That's the nice part about the Jets deal. But let me ask you this, James. I asked Justin this earlier. Have you noticed? And I don't know why. Rosen's stock has been flying this past week. Like, everybody's all about Rosen.
Well, guys, let's take the injuries off the board. Why? Because he's the most polished. He's been the most polished. The thing with Rosen was never the talent. If you're scared about the injury and you're scared about the concussion,
you already know. I've been Team Rosen as long as if he didn't have an injury report, I'm Team Rosen all day.
And I got news for you, Giant fans. The more I look at it, if you're telling me, you know what, if I'm looking at things right now, and again, my top 3 quarterbacks are my only concern. The reason why Rosen wasn't one was the injuries. But I can I would not be mad. I would not be mad if the Giants drafted Rosen at 2. I think you got to be crazy to be mad at that. I think it's either to me. If Darnold goes first, to me it's Darnold or Rosen or trade. I don't have any use for Allen. I don't want Mayfield in my locker room with Eli if we're committed to him there. And Lamar Jackson, you're not going to take that high. Whether he's going to be that good or not, it's just not going to happen. You would rather trade back if he was going to be your target. Then you can say making a trade with Buffalo would be the move if Lamar Jackson's your guy. And I don't even know if you can, with the teams who are going to be crazy over quarterbacks, if you can guarantee that he's going to be there at 11, right or wrong.
Yeah.
But I think it's Darnold, Rosen, and then you're looking at the Jets making a decision between Allen and Mayfield, and then the draft starts for position players. And I think 4 is going to be Chubb. So Giant fans, sit back, take a big deep breath. I mean, you can trade back to 5. You can trade back to 5, and you can end up with one of those 4 stud players and extra picks. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Guys, if they walk away, if they made a trade and they trade back to anywhere and they ended up with one of those 4 guys, Fitzpatrick, Nelson, Chubb, or Barkley, plus extra picks, I don't see how anybody is disappointed in the draft whatsoever. But if you take one of those guys at 2, you should be lynched. Like, they should line you up, they should lynch you. Like, everyone should be fired. Because you could trade back and get one of the 4, you don't take them at 2.
Yeah, and again, guys, you don't take a running back at 2 for the reasons we've talked about. The deepest held draft.
Well, maybe if there weren't any quarterbacks, Tim. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, if these 5 guys weren't here and you were talking about, a couple of different guys that maybe teams were like more prospects, if it was a real weak class and teams were talking about these are second-round guys, but somebody's going to reach for them in the middle of the first round because they're QBs, horse of a different color. I mean, then you can say, if Barkley's that good or Nelson's that good, or Chubb's that good, then you can conceivably take them with the number 1 pick in the draft. But to do it with these 4 or 5 quarterbacks coming out, it's insane. For months we've been saying on the podcast, the first 3 quarterbacks, the first 3 picks are going to end up being quarterbacks at least.
Well, you know what?
And don't be surprised if Cleveland traded back from 4 and somebody went with Mayfield at 4.
Yeah, hold on, James. Annette made a great comment, and we are forgetting, too.
Annette makes great comments. Annette does make great comments. Give that to Annette.
So
tip of the cat.
She said, you guys are forgetting about the Bills. Do you really think the Browns won't trade down from 4 for a haul?
I do. I think they may.
That's the thing. Let's say Denver trades up with us, just for example, and then Bills trade to Cleveland because they have to get one of the quarterbacks because they're all in on a quarterback. Then we really have the choice of every single person that's a non-quarterback.
100%. And that can conceivably happen. I mean, you don't know right now if Cleveland's thinking to themselves, like, we got our quarterback and we got our choice of position players. Jackpot. We don't need to do anything. We made our big move net last year. We already have extra picks. Maybe they're content and they stay there. But you never know. If Buffalo offers them a king's ransom for number 4 because they need to get their hands on Allen or Mayfield because the other guys are gone, at that point, all bets are off. We told you, we've said it we've talked about this weeks ago, where as soon as one guy goes off the board, another guy becomes that much valuable. So as Darnold goes, as Rosen goes, as Mayfield or Allen go, then the next guy becomes that much more valuable when teams are on the clock. Because there's nobody else. The drop-off is that bad.
James, I want to get your take. I want to get your take on this scenario.
Justin, I would love to give you my take.
I laid it out for Tim. I'm going to lay it out for you.
Lay it out, baby. Lay it out for me, and I'll take your take.
All right. So Buffalo calls us, right? And they give us a package of picks, which includes 12 and 23.
So wait, hold on. So wait, Buffalo. My wife was talking to me. She's telling me about what she's going to order. Like I care. Get whatever you want, babe. Run that scenario by me again.
Are we talking food or clothes?
I'll plead the fifth on what she's asking for. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, Buffalo calls us, offers us 2, 12, and an assortment of picks to drop down to 12.
No. No.
You don't want all those picks for
I want. Can I get McCoy? I want McCoy too.
Well, I don't think.
I'm asking.
We could have McCoy under a cap.
I'm asking for the moon. I'll worry about the cap. I don't got to worry about the cap until after the fact. I can see what I get later on in the draft, and then maybe cut some guys and move some guys' salary at the time or stuff like that. But if Buffalo wants to move up, then I'm excuse the terminology, but to use a term from fantasy football, I am trade raping them if they want me to trade out of the top 10.
So I'll say 2-1.
Exactly.
Both are 2s, both are 3s, a future first, and probably like a future, like let's say mid-round pick, like 3rd or 4th.
No, I want. Here's what I want. I want all of those. I want all of the picks this year.
Yeah.
Okay. I want either a first. I want all the picks this year. McCoy and a first, or McCoy and a second next year, or no McCoy and a first next year. Do we have a deal?
Okay, so say it's the option. Say it's the option without McCoy. All right.
I take it. If I get a first next year, knowing they're going to have a rookie quarterback and they're going to struggle again, knowing that that's going to probably put me somewhere in the area where I'm going to have probably a top 10 pick again, maybe you figure top 12 at the worst, right? So you figure top in that division, competitive. Buffalo is a playoff team, but Tyrod's gone. They're going to start a rookie quarterback. You got to figure they're going to struggle a little bit with a rookie quarterback. They don't have a lot of weapons right now. Well, they got Benjamin, but still, I mean, hit or miss with that guy, right? Especially with a rookie quarterback. Yeah. I think that team would probably struggle a little bit next year. So let's say a top 12 pick to go along with the pick I already have, which gives me the bullets to go ahead and trade up if I like the quarterback that's coming out next year as opposed to the guys this year. The first-round pick next year is huge for me. Huge for me.
So then,
absolutely huge. But if my theory is that I'm trading back and I'm sticking with Eli, then I want McCoy, because I want to walk away from this with either Barkley or McCoy to have a running back to compete with and to take some of the pressure off of Eli next year. Because you're trying to win now. So if you're winning now, get me McCoy.
What?
The only thing I would say with that.
What up, gentlemen?
Is,
Gentlemen.
Oh,
We
here
got a
here
few minutes
comes
left.
Dad.
Yes, barging in on your fun, raining on your parade.
I already rained on it.
Therein.
Yeah, he came in. Me and Justin were getting all positive.
Momentum
we were talking about playoffs. And then James came in and
now we're back
killed that.
And then we're back to 3 wins.
Yep.
Now we're back to 3 wins.
Yeah, I was going to be like, you know what, Sunday's a great day. Now I'm just like, I feel like it's raining outside.
Yeah, it was sunshine before. Now it's cloudy, right? I don't know what's that about.
Well, I'm in
Captain Negative.
It's nice out here.
That's an unfair label. Although I do have a cape now. I went out and bought a cape.
We are to try positive positivity.
So what's going on with the other interview that we have?
Well, that is, I got busy the other morning. I was supposed to link up with Pat Leonard of the Daily News, who is getting destroyed, by the way, by Giant fans. Holy snowflakes. Like, relax. But, yeah. There's a storm coming.
You can't send out that video and it's not even him, and the guy doesn't even look like him.
Actually, you know what?
Like
when I first saw the video, it is hard to not think that is Odell getting his lights punched out. And part of me was praying it was him, because that guy got hard enough to actually have some sense knocked in him.
Yeah, he got blown up.
Yeah, that guy got hit hard. I was like, all right. I was like, good for Odell. Maybe that knocked some sense into him. I wasn't even mad. Notice that video came out. You didn't even hear from me because I had a smile on my face. I thought he got his lights knocked out. And I was like, that's probably the best thing that could happen to him. And then I was so disappointed to find out it wasn't him. Because now he still hasn't learned his lesson.
Captain Negative.
Captain Real. Call me Captain Real.
His passes are really.
You know what? Yeah, but Pat got hammered, just for giving his opinion on the whole OBJ, trading OBJ, or at least considering OBJ. Like, that's considered trading OBJ. Like, come on. Like, how can't you? Like, you should be listening to offers for anyone that calls your phone. So, like, I don't see what the big deal was. And he got hammered. So I'm gonna actually line him up. We were supposed to talk on Thursday morning, but I got so busy on work, it went from 9 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock in the afternoon without blinking an eye, and I completely missed it. So I talked to him via Twitter, and we're going to link up tomorrow morning, and I'm sure we'll talk about OBJ and a ton more. And the Joe G interview went really, really good. Joe G's a great guy. He wants to come on again during the season. Loves talking Giants. For those of you who don't know who Joe G is, Joe Giascoli from The Sopranos, Vito Spatafore. We had a little episode of Jimmy on the Streets late last week, and we'll get that posted for you as well.
Jimmy on the Street.
Jimmy on the it's hilarious. I wonder what they're thinking when I get them on the phone, and I'm like, all right, guys, so I'm going to go into it with a little introduction. Hold on right now. All right, here we go. And another episode of Jimmy on the Streets. I give them a little setup. I'm like, all right, so what's up?
The problem with the video is that it ends a little awkward.
Yeah, I know. You just got to cut it off then. Just fade it out when we get to the end there.
Yeah, I'm just going to fade it out. Okay.
Just go to a little fade. Just go to a little fade action. We'll go to a fade to black.
Just act like Jimmy walked away from him.
Throw on the background.
Just go to black like The Sopranos did. Just like The Sopranos did. Just turn it right off, like right to black.
Yep.
That's pretty funny. I think I'm going to do that. All right, everyone.
Yeah, just go straight to black like The Sopranos did.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We will talk to you Wednesday
night, Giant fans.
Yeah. See you guys
go be negative.